All right, welcome back to Buffalo Plus. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. The Bills wrapping up their game in Nashville, a ugly loss to the Titans, 42-16 points. The Bills looking kind of lost all night, unprepared. They had 3 turnovers on the day. They also had, 2 of those were Josh Allen interceptions, as well as 10 penalties. Mike, I mean, what do you make of their night in Nashville?
All right, there were reasons that they played poorly, not excuses. Reasons, right? They didn't have Trey White. They didn't have Matt Milano, right? They were shorthanded without John Brown on offense. But they were terrible tonight. Penalties, just dumb mistakes, missed assignments. They got out-hustled, out-schemed, out-everything. Look, The Titans are a good team, but the Bills made them look great tonight. And I think the Bills are a little embarrassed at how they played. So like I said, there were reasons that altered the Bills' chances of winning, but the way they played tonight, Dan, they deserved every bit of 42-16.
Yeah, they were embarrassed, Mike. You said it best. And Josh Allen said it, short and sweet. They got punched in the mouth and they didn't respond. And that, I think that was the thing that was surprising to me. I thought you would see more fight out of this team. I thought this team, they looked timid. They looked lost from the beginning. They didn't look like the 4-0 team that we have seen for 4 weeks. And this was an uncharacteristic game. They got beat in all 3 phases. It really wasn't that close. And that's why, whether it was the 2-point conversion, how are they going to handle this? The defense couldn't get a stop. I mean, from top to bottom, season high in penalties with 10, a season high in 42 points allowed, a season low with 16 points scored. It had nothing to do about anything else besides they just got a beating by the Titans.
Hold on. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's just a false start. I just wanted to remind you of what we saw in that game. How many times did they do that? Illegal motion, false start, jumping into the neutral zone. Those are lack of fundamentals, lack of concentration. McDermott could have a field day if he wants to teach lessons from this one, Jenna.
Well, I just feel like also this game kind of came out of nowhere in terms of how uninspired the Bills played. I mean, they got beat on every phase of the ball. They looked scared. They looked timid. They also looked at some points just utterly flustered. And I want your opinion, Mike. Like, is it because why? Like, this team has been so well coached. What's the deal with this change in week 5?
Now, I will tell you this. It's funny. We were talking about possibly going 5-0, which they haven't done since the Super Bowl days. This is a dirty little secret here. Even the Super Bowl teams had games like this. Now, the difference was those teams had done it and done it again, and you had confidence that they were going to keep doing it, and you just knew how good they were. They just had some bad nights. That could be the case with this team. We could look back and say, man, remember the Titans, right? Remember just how awful that game was and how awful they played, and that becomes the outlier for the season. And that's in large part, like I said, because, with those teams, we had seen so much good. But I will say there are some troubling signs. Not Josh Allen as much. Look, Josh Allen's been really good for a month. He wasn't great tonight, but he fought, he battled. He was really good on third down. Like, they were so good on third down tonight, Dan. They just couldn't do much else right. Stephon Diggs caught a ton of passes. He dropped a couple. Normally, the offense has really picked up whenever they've needed it. But tonight, it let them down. And defensively, Dan, I don't know how you see it, but tonight, everything fell apart. But there have been troubling signs leading into this game.
Yeah, we joked around, I think, last week or leading up before it, that we took the panic button out and we had opened the case of the Bills' defense. We're now touching it. We haven't pressed it yet, but you're touching the panic button. Look, this was a good, this isn't, I wouldn't say a good Titans offense, but they have some weapons. They were missing some, but Ryan Tannehill just looked really good. Obviously Josh Norman gets stiff-armed into next week. It was kind of just a demoralizing effort where last week in Vegas where, Coach was saying, somebody's got to make a play. Somebody stepped up. Nobody made a play this week across the board on all 3, phases of the game. It was just one of those games where it just looked like the Bills. It was a classic letdown game, whether it was the travel or one thing or another. They didn't take any excuses. They weren't going to say anything like that, but this was just a stinker. Teams have stinkers. This was one of them.
Yeah. Well, Jenna, I think the problem was they were trying to prepare for the Chiefs and the Titans,
Don't
right?
you dare.
Well,
Don't
look, there
you
are
dare.
people, and somebody went at you tonight on social
Yeah,
media
They did.
saying that, was it the Titans? They were worried about both teams. What did
They
Micah
didn't
Hyde
know
say?
until Sunday who they were playing. They only had 2 days to prepare.
Yeah. What did Micah Hyde say?
He said,
Nice eye
no,
roll,
no,
Jenna.
no. Sorry, I rolled into next week. No, he said, no, that's not true. They knew they were playing the Titans. They were preparing to play the Titans. These guys are professionals. They approached the game in that way. Micah Hyde said they had no talk of the Chiefs leading into this game.
And look, when you look at their problems, some of it was sort of scheme related, right? Missed assignments and all those things.
Other
Did it
things,
look like they were getting ready for the Chiefs?
I was going to say,
Imagine if you were playing the
sloppy.
Chiefs offense this way tonight. So I don't buy that. And that's honestly, I know there's some fans trying to look for excuses. What you should be happy with is that this team's not making excuses.
Yeah.
What did he say, Dan? What did Josh Allen say? We got whipped, right?
We got punched in the mouth, and that all
Punched in the
three
mouth,
faces that need to play better. Josh said himself included, but he did say at the end of every question, McDermott as well as Josh saying that we'll learn from this. It's not going to define us, and that we're moving on. We've got a short week, and we got to focus on Kansas City. Like, that was it. Like, I think this team has already forgotten about this game. They already are discussing. This may be a don't watch the tape. This may be. I know Sean McDermott said he wanted.
They gotta watch the tape.
I know Sean McDermott said he wanted a 6-hour flight so that he could watch all phases. Forget this game happened. Move on to next week. Josh said it best. We have to quickly forget about this game. He said we have to learn from it, but we have to quickly forget about it. I'm more on the just forget about it kind of phase.
Do you think Josh Norman's going to forget about it?
That's rough.
He got beat with the early touchdown.
People don't forget.
And then
the internet doesn't forget.
Yeah, that is going to live. It's going to live forever.
I know. People were making memes of it probably right now, even as we speak. Dan, you bring up a good point, though, because the Bills face the reigning Super Bowls champions in the Chiefs coming up next. Mike, how do they move on?
Well, they better figure some things out defensively. And I would say there's a good chance Trey White's going to play. Again, another, can you imagine internet rumors that aren't even close to true? It's almost like it's politics here. Trey White was not avoiding the game due to COVID. He was on the field in Nashville trying to get ready. Trainers looked at him with his back, decided to wait. So that tells me he's close. That tells me there's a good chance he's going to play next week. I don't think Milano is going to be back, but you never know. I mean, they could use him. They certainly could use him. But even if you don't get those guys back, or if you get one of them back, or whatever it is, you're not going to beat anybody unless you get a pass rush. And they are not getting to the quarterback. They are not disrupting anybody. And, Dan, if you don't do that, you're not stopping any offense, especially somebody like the Chiefs.
No, and there were injury concerns, Mike, heading into this game. I think they were magnified in this one. But Marv Levy said it best, Mike, that depth is a great thing until you have to use it. The depth wasn't good. Obviously, Andre Roberts is a punt returner and a kick return specialist. He shouldn't be necessarily getting those big opportunities. It shot themselves in the foot right off the bat. They had, let's not forget, this Bills defense probably isn't this bad. They're just not. They were without their top corner, their number 2 corner, and their best coverage linebacker, Nat Milano. No excuse, but there are a little bit more of an explanation for that than preparing for the Chiefs. They need to get healthy.
Yeah, they do. All right, they'll have the Chiefs coming up. Make sure to stay with Buffalo Pluses. We'll keep you updated as the Bills get ready for Kansas City. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time here on Buffalo Plus.